Posted by you/jazzlikesugar7209. My husband, 36M, and I, 34F, have been married for 8 years, together for 14, and we have a 4-year-old daughter who is our whole life. He had been married before to Eliza, his best friend. They married at 18, were together for 2 years, and then divorced. They remained best friends, and when we started dating, Eliza, my husband's other best friend Jack, and my husband were a tight-knit group. Eliza was one of the brothers, and I was always the girlfriend, and later the wife, always an outsider. His 2 friends are single, so our house was always a place for them to crash. Ever since we moved in together, they would show up unannounced and do their own thing while I made snacks and full meals. For the first year, I tried my best to integrate into their clique, but it never worked out. It was always awkward, and I felt like I was inserting myself where I didn't belong, so I stopped trying and relegated myself to being a great host and letting them do their thing. I didn't notice at first, but over the years, resentment has built up. I feel like a 1950s housewife serving drinks and lighting darts for the men. My husband on his own is amazing, and I love him. He has been a great partner and my best friend during these 14 years. The problem is, I'm not his best friend, Eliza is. Every single thing that happens in our life has to be discussed and analyzed with Eliza. Early in our relationship, I got pregnant. I took the test late at night, and we were really scared. Despite this, he was so reassuring, holding me the whole night and telling me he was ready to do whatever I wanted. I said I needed time to really think about it. The next day, we went to our classes and agreed to meet for lunch. When we met, he asked me how I was feeling, then told me he had the contact information for a doctor who performed terminations. It was illegal back then. I asked how he found one so quickly when I wasn't even sure what I wanted to do. His answer? He called Eliza early in the morning, and she had a friend who knew someone. I felt so betrayed because this was something deeply personal to me, and he went and shared it with someone else. Not just someone else, it's Eliza, come on, he said. In the days that followed, every time I saw him, he had new information from Eliza and Eliza's friend. I was so confused and scared, and Eliza convinced my boyfriend we needed to act fast because it would be easier. Under so much pressure, I agreed. Long story short, it was a terrible, unsanitary clinic, and I almost died. To this day, I don't know if I should have kept the baby or not. But it's better not to dwell on it. When my boyfriend proposed, Eliza was fake mad that he hadn't told her first. The only way to placate her was to make her his best man, even though my husband had a male best friend. Every little or major event in our life turns into, yeah, I'm going to tell Eliza now, you know how she gets. I was SA'd as a child and told my husband about it. He was the first person I ever confided in. Months later, Eliza and I were alone in our kitchen, and she started talking about something she'd heard on the news about a girl raped by a family member. Then she hugged me. When I started trying for a child and got pregnant, I asked my husband to keep it between us for a little while. It was Wednesday. By Sunday, when I saw Eliza, she congratulated me. I ended up miscarrying. I started looking for a doctor to help me deal with my depression, again, something I wanted to keep private. Eliza was so understanding. When I was pregnant with my daughter, Eliza came to me full of advice on things I should do. I told her to mind her own business, which really hurt her feelings. I stood my ground and told my husband I wasn't going to raise my child with Eliza's input and didn't want to hear any advice from her. This turned into a big fight with my husband because I was rude and Eliza was family and already considered herself an auntie. That was the only time I gave my husband an ultimatum: Eliza better keep herself away from my motherhood, or I will leave. Now, my resentment has reached the point where I don't want her near me, my house, or my husband. I feel like she is more married to my husband than I am. My whole life feels like I'm living in a best friends to lovers drama. I'm not sure why I'm writing this. Probably because I'm sitting alone in a coffee shop thinking how much I want my husband to just be my husband, not make me feel like a lame love interest in someone else's epic love story. In the past, my husband thought I was being childish. Despite loving him, I can't keep being married like this. I don't feel I can trust him to talk to me without involving Eliza, and I don't want to issue another ultimatum. Update 1 month later. I'm going to start by saying how thankful I am to everyone who showed grace on my last post. This isn't a happy update. If anything, welcome to the pity, angsty train. After writing my post and reading how most people felt about it, my head was full of doubts and sadness. Your opinions weren't a surprise since most of my friends and family had voiced the same at some point. I guess I'm too slow and need to be punched harder to understand. A few days after my post, I took a pregnancy test, and it was positive. Having a large family is what we always wanted, and ever since my termination, I've been left with a feeling of having empty arms. Holding my daughter in my arms felt like being whole again, and I knew I needed to grow my arms even more to hold my new baby too. But after the initial happiness, an ugly feeling started to grow in my stomach. I didn't want Eliza in our life. It felt like taking off my innocence glasses, and I was finally able to see her, really see her. How every smile was so damn fake, how every compliment was always mean-spirited or a veiled self-compliment. Nice potato salad, it was great. Oh, remember, to my husband, that potato salad I made? It was kinda unbelievable blah blah blah, or, nice outfit, I love how confident you are. I can't leave the house without making sure my outfit is flawless. Her reaction to my first pregnancy, my wedding, our travels, my second pregnancy, buying a house, how everything that should have been between my husband and me always included her, as if our life were a play she should write and direct. On our first Christmas together, she came over while we were decorating. With all her positive critiques, I ended up sitting in a corner drinking wine while she and my husband decorated. She's always here. And by here, I mean in my life. She has a say in everything in my life, to the point that when my husband voices his opinion, I can tell when it's his words and when it's Eliza's. I'm not saying that since I wrote the last post, everyone turned into ultimate evils, but thinking and rethinking about my life with my husband, I realized I've always been a passive character. It's like my husband got himself a pet, and he and Eliza are going to be endgame when they both realize they never stopped loving each other. Some of you, like my sister, will say I'm dormant. I guess I am. I've let this go on for so long that it's become normal. My life isn't bad, my husband hasn't been a bad husband, and Eliza isn't so bad at the bars that she hasn't tried to kill me yet. I know it's clear to all of you, but to me, this has been my life for years, my day-to-day. I've learned to look away and make myself small so I don't make others uncomfortable. Maybe because I'm pregnant and hormonal, but I'm tired of this. I love my husband, but I feel he can't fully love me with Eliza whispering in his ear and him running to please her like a golden retriever. After all that thinking and rethinking, I sat my husband down and told him we needed to set some strong boundaries because our marriage wasn't working. I didn't feel loved or respected as a wife or even as a person. I explained more or less what I've written here. My husband denied everything and tried to explain himself, saying Eliza was like a sister to him. I said even siblings have boundaries. It went back and forth, with him making me doubt whether I was, in fact, trying to control who was or wasn't in his life. He even joked about whether he'd need to sneak away to have a drink with his friends. For a moment, I wondered if I was, in fact, crazy. But I stood firm. If he wanted to keep this marriage, Eliza needed to be gone from our life. At first, I thought low contact would be enough, but seeing his reaction, I knew that wouldn't work. Maybe I wouldn't see Eliza, but he certainly would, and I would be antagonized and mocked. Honestly, knowing this made me realize my marriage was over. So I pressed with important questions. What were his real feelings? Why did they divorce if they were so hung up on each other? Why hadn't he left me sooner? Why not leave me now? Did he love Eliza more than me? Why? What was it about her? What did she have that I didn't, that made her impossible to leave? In summary, he loves her, but he also loves me. He doesn't understand how. Both of us bring something he doesn't want to miss. He's not sure if he wants a life with Eliza like the one we have, a marriage, a family, but she is his soulmate. They divorced because their relationship was so intense it burned them both. With me, he has calm, peace, and a loving place to come back to. He's never cheated but admits he sometimes fantasizes about her being me and me being her. They often talk about having this life together but agree that being together would destroy their bond. Also messed up, my God. I know it was kind of obvious to all of you in my first post, and it should have been obvious to me. But hearing my husband say he loves another woman, that she's his soulmate, and that he put her at the center of our life, made her an auntie to our daughter and some kind of sister-in-law to me, a supposed family friend, it broke me. I'm not going to lie. I threw myself on the floor, hugged his legs, and begged him, asking what I needed to do to make him love me, to only love me. I felt so pathetic, but I thought everything was worth saving something as valuable as my marriage. I cried and cried and cried. And the hardest part was hearing there was nothing I could do. This is all. I know it's not some shocking news, but for me, my life is falling apart. The only things holding me together are two little hands that hug me every night and the small being in my belly. We haven't discussed anything legal yet. He's left the house, and my sister and mom are staying with us for now. Top comment. He's a selfish, cruel man. She is equally horrible. He used you, kept her around, and she played along with it. He says he sees her as a sister but then claims he fantasizes about her being you and you being her. Both cannot be true at the same time. She is either a sister to him, or he wants her to be his wife. All he does is lie. He was living his best life and got everything he wanted. He has cheated, maybe not physically, though I doubt it, but emotionally, he has. You deserve to find someone who truly loves you and chooses you every single time, not someone who keeps another option. You were their little doll to play with. You gave him all these wonderful things so she didn't have to, but she gets the perks of being your husband's girlfriend without ever having to get pregnant or do any hard labor in a marriage. I'm so sorry.